Welcome to Third Life, an experimental Minecraft hardcore mini-series with a twist. I'm joined by 13 other Minecraft...
One afternoon in April 2021, in the middle of lockdown, I was scrolling through YouTube and I came across a video that had been uploaded a few days ago. I've seen it on my homepage a few times already, but it never extraordinarily piqued my interest. But on this day, out of sheer boredom, I clicked on it. And I had no idea yet for what a wild ride I was in on.
God, it is you and me to the death, laddie!
They gave me a clock! Good times with Scar!
Nailed it!
Pops, I'm sorry. I need to.
Dude, you could join me.
I am the boogie! I am the boogie! I'm looking.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I didn't want it! Wait, Scott, what are you doing? Scott, what are you doing? Telling Nick to his part!
Are you my son?
Yeah?
I'm my dad.
To be fair, I think nobody did when Grian uploaded the first episode of Third Life on his channel, together with 13 other YouTubers. But as the series continued on, it gained more and more popularity, resulting in 3 other following seasons: Last Life, Double Life, and the newest one, Limited Life. And the viewers absolutely loved it and still do. Grian's first Third Life episode reached 5.5 million views at the time of writing this video. Countless fan-made animatics have been uploaded to YouTube. r/Third Life SMP has been flooded with memes, statistics and predictions, and on every social media platform known to man, you will find people desperate to share their opinions on the Minecraft SMP with 3 hearts. But what makes the Life series, as most of the members call it, or the Red Life SMPs as I like to call it, so successful? What makes it stand out against the thousands of Minecraft videos and numerous famous SMPs that can be found on the internet today? In this video, I will elaborate in 6 aspects what in my opinion makes up the popularity of Third Life, Last Life, Double Life, Limited Life and everything around it. Aspect 1. Concept. Of course, the unique but simple concept cannot go unmentioned here. But is it really that unique? Actually, yes and no. In the original Third Life, every player began with 3 lives. While on their first 2 ones, green and yellow, they behave like normal Minecraft players. But on their last life, the Red Life, they are not only allowed to, but their goal is to kill every other player by whatever means necessary. What does that instantly remind you of? Correct, the book and movie series The Hunger Games. The first book was released in 2008 by Susan Collins, and became a big part of the YA dystopia genre that was on the rise back then, getting 2 sequels, 4 movies, and a prequel, with its movie coming out this year. If you take a look at the concept of the Hunger Games, similarities can be found quickly. The everyone against everyone aspect, only one left standing, the pure survival, the eventual betrayal of team members. But wait, maybe you were reminded of something else. 2000's Battle Royale, a movie I have never seen, but which seems to be one of or the earliest instance of the concept. While the Hunger Games made it popular and became inspiration for the first survival games Minecraft plugin, the entire Battle Royale video game genre is named after this movie, so I felt like it was worth mentioning. But that's only part of the concept though. These rather brutal ideas provide guaranteed drama. The stakes climbed even higher with the addition of the Boogeyman in Last Life, making a return in Limited Life, which I'm by the way really glad they did. The Boogeyman has to kill a fellow green or yellow lifer, otherwise being set to their last life at the end of the session. It's being chosen randomly at the start of every session, with only the Boogeyman themselves knowing their role. This leads to a kind of reversed Among Us situation, where everyone is trying to figure out who the Boogeyman is in order not to be their victim, with it obviously being revealed as soon as the Boogie made their kill. This concept puts a twist on classical whodunit murder mysteries, keeping things interesting before the murder even happened. The name Boogeyman likely comes from a horror creature that kills people used to scare children, and featured in a couple movies and a video game. And of course, all these known elements are combined with the charm of a Minecraft series and known ideas like factories and hardcore mode. But as said here, all individual ideas have been done before. The newer additions to the concept like the soul bonding and the 24-hour timer included. The ideas aren't new. They wouldn't be as impactful without. Aspect 2. Storytelling. Now we are going to talk about the science of story. Think about your favorite story. Book, movie, TV show, whatever. What makes you care about that story? Really think about it. And what makes you not care about a story? Short answer, the characters. Especially with the protagonist, everything rises and falls with them. The plot can be as riveting as it wants to, but we are not gonna care about anything if we don't have a character to care about. And how do you make us care about someone? You make them relatable, you make them human. In many stories, that means introducing us to their goals and fears right in the beginning, before the inciting incident. Let's take an example we already mentioned. The book The Hunger Games. In the first chapter, we learn that Katniss Everdeen lives in the poorest district of a dystopian country called Panem, that she is responsible for providing for her family, that her father died a couple years ago, and that she would do anything to protect her little sister. We wouldn't care her later being shipped off to the Hunger Games if we wouldn't have got those bits of information, if we didn't get to know her. Applying this to a Minecraft SMP is trickier, but here we have something to help us called parasocial relationships, a kind of relationship that we already established with the YouTuber before the SMP even began. Parasocial relationships are one-sided relationships that the consumer develops with any kind of media persona. This person or character can feel almost like a friend to our brains, and while those kinds of relationships can have negative drawbacks, it immensely helps when we're trying to get the audience to care about the story of an SMP, because we have already been introduced to the quote-unquote characters beforehand and learned through the content they put out to care about them and what they do. Book and movie sequels take advantage of this effect, because in a follow-up piece, they don't need to introduce us to the characters again. We already know them and got to care about them. Have you ever bought the second part of a book just because you wanted to know what happened to the characters? That was because you read one book about them previously. Think about how much you care about a YouTuber who you maybe watched hundreds of videos of. You became attached to them and, as said, developed a parasocial relationship too. What makes this even more interesting is Aspect 3. Collaboration. The oldest trick in the book when it comes to getting more viewers. It's simple. You get introduced to a new audience, but also one that already likes similar content to yours, and maybe they want to watch more from you. Because we just talked about it and I love to parallel storytelling in real life, here's how we can compare this to a resembling trick in fiction. As described earlier, in a good story, we get introduced to the protagonist first, and then to the side characters. How we get to care about those is different. Instead of introducing them by themselves, we get shown what their connection to the protagonist is, and since we already care about the protagonist, we already care about their relationships with the side characters, and consequently about the side characters themselves too. If we think about it and try to imagine YouTube collaboration and especially the SMPs as a story, we can apply this concept. What you probably already noticed though is the key difference here. In conventional stories, we see everything through the eyes of the protagonist. Everything occurring in the plot, we automatically relate to them, and no matter POV switch, the main character stays the main character. In SMPs, that's not the case. The owner of the POV only remains the protagonist inside the frame of their own videos. As soon as we step outside this border and engage in another POV, that player becomes the protagonist for the viewer. Of course, you can favoritize one POV over another, but in every situation you yourself have to judge who is in the right and who is in the wrong, or ultimately land at the conclusion that everyone has a fair share of sensible reasons, because unlike in classical stories, the narrative doesn't do it for you. Imagine being introduced to two main characters in the beginning, who in the course of the story grow to be enemies and fight each other, while still being the good guy in their own mindset. On a lighter note, if we step outside of the storytelling again, collaboration has the benefit of choice for the viewer. You can observe the same story, but in the way you like. Want to watch the dramatic side of Third Life with Game of Thrones themes? Great, watch Rendog. Want to see Last Life with minutes on end of the same joke that make you piss yourself from laughing, but still have cryptic lore bits sprinkled throughout? Here, Martin in the Littlewood. Want to watch a chaotic neutral POV of a Red Witch character of the events in Double Life with some David Attenborough impressions? Palace and Moon. It's not only beneficial for the creator, but it makes it extremely easy for the viewer to find new YouTubers. I think myself with Third Life is a good example of this. At the beginning, from all the people on the server, the only ones I knew were the Hermits, and the only one I watched regularly was Grian, inconceivable now. Through Third Life, I began to watch Scar, Jimmy Solidarity and Scotch Stranger, the latter two ultimately being the reason why I got into Empires and therefore other Empires SMP members' content, like Pixel Riffs or Gemini Tay. With Last Life starting, I watched everyone's POV just because of my love for the series itself, discovering some new people and getting more content from the YouTubers I've grown to like in the meantime. Something these same people are equally as important for is Aspect 4. Authenticity. A general basis of authenticity is always given with YouTube. It's what makes it distinctly different from media like television, and even compared to other SMPs, the Red Life series differs in this point. Concerning other popular SMPs, we have scripted ones like Dream SMP, and also semi-scripted ones like Empire's SMP. And then on the other side Hermitcraft, which, apart from a few storylines, isn't scripted at all. The Red Life series doesn't follow a script, but, unlike Hermitcraft, heavily relies on its story. Every session is shot in the dark. No one knows what's going to happen, if anything exciting is going to happen. To be clear, the entire series was a shot in the dark. Agrian said in its very first Third Life video, it's
an experimental Minecraft hardcore mini-series with a twist.
An experiment that did really well. Every player takes part in weekly sessions, in which they play in for about 3 hours, and outside of that, they don't have to worry about it, which I would think makes those series not as stressful as others. Watching the Life SMPs really just feels like watching a bunch of friends play together, because it is just that. What makes it special is the collection of people they gathered, and how they naturally interact and let the story come to life. It adds to the humor of the series as well. Why is something funny? Because it is unpredictable. And Red Life is the most unpredictable SMP of them all. Running jokes, bits and puns are characteristic. Let me just remind you of the aha, the bad boys pun in Martin's entire role in the series. The authenticity makes it so intriguing. It's the fact that everyone is a bit out of water in a scenario where they may interact with people they're not normally thrown in together with, use skills they don't usually need, and have to act on the spot instead of carefully planning everything. In Red Life, there's not much time to think about anything, and it doesn't really matter either, because this is not a long-term series. Every decision only lasts for 7 weeks or so, tops. Speaking of which, what we also need to make the series special is Aspect 5. Rarity. The first episode of Third Life was released in April 2021, Last Life in September of the same year, Double Life in June 22, and Limited Life began in this March. With a 3-month gap between season 1 and 2, a 7-month one between 2 and 3, and 8 months between the 3rd and the 4th season, we can definitely say that there's a lot of waiting involved with being a fan of the Red Life series. When observing the fandom on various platforms, you can see that we're waiting for it like it's some kind of Olympic tournament. And as much as I am not a patient person, the long wait is partly a reason for that excitement. Things that are rare appear more special to us, and in the numerous months in between seasons, the viewers and the creators get a chance to breathe and really build up the want for another series. In that time, you can rewatch as much as you want and revel in the old seasons. The consumer doesn't get overwhelmed with content. An entire POV can be binged in one day. The week in between the release of episodes is enough to get through everyone's videos, if you want to. Frankly, it reminds me a bit of TV, waiting for an episode to drop on a specific day. In Third Life times, I would wait every Tuesday afternoon for a new episode. The constant game between delay and resulting payoff adds so much to consumer involvement, and therefore... Aspect 6. Audience interaction. Anyone that's ever peeked a nose into the Life series fandom knows what I'm talking about. All the other aspects add up to make the Red Life SMP perfect for animatics, and there's no shortage of them, let me tell you. And the r/Third Life SMP subreddit is active like the volcano Vesuv in 79 AD every time new episodes drop. Even songs are made, fan art, the entire spectrum when it comes to fan-made content, and the interest in all seasons doesn't decline either. This aspect is symptom and cause of its popularity at the same time, forming kind of a vicious circle. Interaction is, in my opinion, the biggest multiplier of every benefit aspects 1 to 5 bring with them. On YouTube, the audience decides what is popular, what gets rewarded with reviews and likes, and what is therefore profitable for the content creator. The viewer really has the greatest power on social media, and as much as you can roll your eyes and shake your head at some of the things that gain popularity on the internet, it's deserved in the case of Third Life, Last Life, Double Life, Limited Life and its creators.